Welcome to Case Studies Equal Clients training. So this is really going to go through the right way to do social proof. And I think that you're going to have a great time here today. And if you have questions along the way, please ask. To get the most out of this training, always eliminate as many distractions as you can. If you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on and you have your phone in your hand, or you've got a whole bunch of tabs open, close them all out, because you will either get a ton out of this, or the people who don't get what they hope for out of this is because they're in two places. There are going to be things here that you've heard before. There are going to be things here that you have never heard before. So the more engaged that you can be, the more questions that you ask, the more you're really going to get out of this. And, I will give you everything that I can, but it really is up to you how much you really get from this based on how much you engage and how actually focused you are. If you don't have access to a computer, you're probably going to want the training if you're on a phone, because I am going to be going through slides and some things like that. And it might be easier for you to see on a computer screen, but also okay. However you are here, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to give you absolutely everything I can in the time we have together. And Ashley, who never moderates these things anymore because she's way too important, is here. And we've got the head honcho here today. So she's our COO. She is the person who essentially runs the back end of my entire business. She's my right hand. She's the first person I ever hired. I tell her all the time, other than my husband, she's the love of my life. So we have her here today as well, which is really exciting. And she's going to be answering all of your questions in the chat. Trust me, use the chat, ask the questions as we go through this, because you have the best of the best here, and having access to her is rare. So use her. She types like lightning, and she'll be able to get back to you and your questions as we go through this. So who is this for? And if you don't fit into this category, you may not want to spend your hour here with us, but I'm assuming everybody who is here for the right reasons. You want to get more consistent business from social media. Maybe you've been marketing yourself online, but you're getting overwhelmed, or what you're doing isn't actually giving you the business that you want to be getting from it. Like always, action takers are always going to be the best people, because you are going to be able to take what you learned today, put it into action, and get things rocking and rolling. So this is also going to be really focused on rapidly and sustainably growing your business. We're going to be talking about niching down, because you can't do a case study without a niche. And this is really about growing your business strategically, using attraction marketing. We're not going to be talking about traditional techniques today. This is all about future and current ways of marketing that are going to be the most effective for you. So I'm going to start this entire training with the 9 or 10 different content types that you must master. Okay. And this might seem like a lot, but there are 10 things here, and I am only going to focus in on one. Okay. So these are the content types that you want to be using on your social media, in your digital marketing, in order to make sure that you are giving every single person who comes into your world digitally exactly what they need to move them from stranger to client in an automated way, so that you have attraction business coming to you. Now, the piece that most people struggle with out of all of this are case studies, and they tend to forget about them. So again, this is going to be really, really helpful for you if that's what you're looking to do. So if you want to take a picture or a screenshot of this page, we will be sending out the recording for the people who are registered for this training today. You will get the recording, but only if you stay to the end. So that's my rule. If you take off 10 minutes into this training, you're not getting the recording, because you didn't make the time to actually be here. So that's going to be really important too. And you're also, if you want to have the slides, I'm also happy to give you the slides at the end of this as well. So this is what we're going to cover today. And I think that this is going to be great for you guys. What is a case study? So what are we even talking about here? Why case studies are so important to your marketing, how to choose which clients to highlight in these case studies, and how to create an actually great case study that is going to give you the results that you want. And just like everything else, this is a slide that you'll see often in my trainings. We're going to do this without compromising your integrity, feeling authentic, or resorting to anything that feels old school or sleazy or salesy or yucky. Okay, so this is all about doing this in a way that's going to feel really good to you. So let's start with, very simply, what is a case study? So a case study studies a social unit, or in this case, your niche, deeply and thoroughly. So what we're doing, a normal case study is actually a larger sample size. What we're going to be focusing in on today is an individualized case study. So these are important points: qualitative as well as quantitative, covers a sufficient cycle of time, which is going to be your entire relationship with this person during a single life transition or a single move. And we're a before, during, and after walkthrough. I'm going to do this in a lot more detail, but this is just an overview quickly of what is a case study. Now, HGTV. Let me know in the chat if you have ever been pulled into an HGTV show. Just say yes, or me, every time. Absolutely. Guys, when I made the decision that I wanted to move somewhere tropical, I watched every Caribbean life show, every Bahamas life show, and literally I was like, if these people can do it, so can I. And it made me feel so much more comfortable with the process. Now, HGTV is an entire network of case studies. That's all it is. The entire, every single thing that happens on that show is a case study. They are showing you how to love it or list it, live the Caribbean life, whether you're going to flip or flop. 100% of the shows there are telling a before and after story and walking you through the process. So, you know, obviously it works, but here's why they're important. They provide social proof with story and value. And I'm going to reiterate this a couple of times today. Stories are 22 times more memorable than facts. So you can give someone all the facts in the world, but if you don't tell them a story, they're not going to remember it. There's a reason why lessons and religions and things that we want to pass down and actually stick, whether it's, you know, whether it's like a life lesson, whether it doesn't matter. It's always delivered with a story, because it's the story that makes it stick. And this also allows potential clients to emotionally connect with your business. Okay, so people buy emotionally before they buy logically, which I'm going to reiterate again later, but it allows people to actually emotionally connect and remember your business. There is a reason why Super Bowl commercials make us cry. They are the most expensive commercial that you can buy on TV. And so in order for them to be memorable, there has to be some sort of story and there has to be an emotion attached to it. That's how marketing is the most effective. So what we're doing is we're taking, just like any sales cycle, its current situation and desired situation. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? This is the baseline, the foundation of all sales. And basically what we're doing is we're promoting your signature system. We're promoting your way, your unique way of working with your clients without ever being salesy or pushy or look at me, look at me. What we're doing is we're ethically peppering it in a way that actually feels really good to the person who's reading it. So this is a replacement for your just sold posts, because we don't do those anymore, because they're not valuable. And your social media and your marketing is not a billboard. So this is what you're going to do instead. A really, really great case study is always going to be a tremendous amount more valuable than a just sold post. And again, just to reiterate, people buy or make decisions emotionally before they make them logically. So if you want someone to reach out to you and say, hey, I've seen your stuff, come list my house, it is only going to happen if that person feels an emotional connection. You can be the number one agent and you can be the person who is absolutely the most qualified to work with them. And that does not mean that they will work with you unless there is an emotional connection first. So this becomes incredibly important, right? And you running around and saying you're the best is very different from you being able to tell a story and to highlight how you've actually helped someone who's in exactly the same situation that they're in. So who do we want to highlight? How do you even choose where to start and who to start with? And this is a question that comes up so often. Maybe you've been in the business for a really long time and you've done hundreds of deals. Who do you even how do we even move forward with any of this? So this is a little bit of like you're going to be your narrowing down process. Number one, clients that fit your niche perfectly. Okay, don't confuse your audience. This is going to be really, really important. Don't confuse your audience. Keep people really clear on who you're speaking to. So if your primary niche is upsizers, don't start telling all of these stories and doing all of these case studies of single first-time buyers buying their very first condo. Or don't start talking about your investor client who buys 100 units a year, because that isn't going to resonate with the people that you're trying to speak to and you're trying to attract. So that becomes number one. Number two, don't try to do a case study with a client who doesn't like you or hasn't actually been super happy, because that person's may very well see it. And that's a whole can of worms that you don't want to open up. Not that you ever would, but wanted to state the obvious here. The best case studies are going to be the big life transitions, right? The ones that have deeper pain points in the beginning, that the people who you really got to know or who really needed to make this life transition, those pain points being strong are going to make a big difference. Again, people, and that's okay, Nicole. So and I talk about this later in the training as well, but you are going to get permission from certain people, but you also, there's a way around it, and you can tell the story of the property. You don't always have to tell the story of a specific set of clients. In fact, doing a combination of the two is often helpful. Now, if a lot of your clients don't want to be on social media, you have to ask their permission, but the timing of the ask is also important. You don't want to be going back to them 6 months down the road. You want to ask them when it's fresh in their mind and they're the happiest, because that's going to be the time that they're going to be the most open. We're going to talk about all of this later. So again, you want deeper pain points to start with. You want to ask permission beforehand, and you can highlight the address or the client. So you can tell the story of 123 ABC Street, or you can tell the story of Jane Smith or the Smith family. And, I would question whether I hear that a lot. My clients don't want to be on social media, but I've probably only ever had one or two people who've actually said no. So a lot of the time, I think it might be the way that they're being asked, or it could just be that this is a projection and that you're worried about putting them on social media or you've done it without asking permission first. So I would challenge that a little bit, because most people are actually fine, especially if they're really happy with how you helped them. They want you to be more successful as well. And this is one of the tools in which to do that. So let's talk about the step-by-step case, the step-by-step creation of a case study. This is also going to, so as we go through this, please ask questions, because there may be things here that you want clarified. So again, number one, you choose the client and get permission. Even better, think ahead, get permission from every client that you work with when you sign your initial representation agreement. Okay, so this is just a clause added in. And if they aren't happy with it, you can cross it out and have them initial it. But if they are happy with it, then you have written legal permission to use their stories and to talk about them and use their likeness. It's the same thing as like if I'm hosting a really large event and we have videographers there, we have people sign a release saying, if I use some of this videography in my marketing, you may be in it, but you might not. And I just need to know that you're okay with it. So instead of having to have the conversation, the conversation right from the beginning, like just get the permission right in the beginning. Nicole, it doesn't have to be a photo. You don't need to use last names either, Sarah. Most of the time you don't, right? Just a simple, like, a first name is more than enough. And most people who are taking closing day photos, they usually accompany not a great piece of content, right? Someone holding a sold sign is not going to be super effective. So when you do take those photos, this is the accompaniment that's actually going to be a lot more powerful. So the second thing that we do is we open a notepad. Open a notepad on your computer and start with bullet points. If you sit down and you try to write a case study with no guidance and none of this foundational preliminary work done, it's going to be way more difficult. Okay, so you open the notepad on your computer and you start with bullet points. So you want 3 different sections. Where were they before? Where are they after? And what was the process that got them there? And you want to take as many notes as you possibly can. So I'm going to show you an example of this. I wasn't planning on doing this, so just kind of bear with me. I did this. So my best friend, also a coach, I went through this process with her the other day. This is what we did. Before, after process. She was wanting to do a case study with a specific husband and wife. They own a dive shop. So husband and wife, 2 team members, had never hired a coach before in 30 years, right? So again, you're telling story here. They were having trouble with customer retention. They needed to sell more hardware, more actual dive equipment, right? They started working together at the end of August. Here were their goals. This is what they wanted. So this is the example, a very simple example of how many points you should have at a minimum. So it can't just be that I started working with these people and they wanted to move because they wanted a bigger house. That's not enough. We need to dig into the pain points. Why did they want to move? Understanding what's driving your clients' moves is one of the most important things from a marketing perspective. People don't move because it's fun. You guys have heard me say that a million times. People don't move because it's fun. We move because something in our current situation is not working for us anymore. Whether it's that your kids are sharing one bathroom and they are driving you crazy with all the fighting in the morning, or whether it's a school district thing, or whether your ideal clients are downsizing to be able to travel more carefree and reduce the amount of work that they have to do on an ongoing basis. Whatever their reasoning is, you need to get clear on it. You need to understand, what are they worried about? What are they, what does and I'm going to go through this in more detail here. So let me see here just for a second. Am I sharing my screen properly? I don't think so. So let me see. Sorry, guys, just bear with me for a sec. There we go. So break down the before. Who are they? What do they do? What neighborhood are they in? Describe their family. Are they single? Are they married? Are they a family with 2 kids? Are they a family with 18 dogs? I want to know as much detail about them as possible because, again, we're painting a picture. We're telling a story. So what is their current situation? Okay, what is the primary pain point? What is driving their move? Did they tell you a story? Was there a specific instance that made it clear for them that they needed to move? Was it a fall? Did you have a client who was in a 2-story home that fell? Or, what is it that is actually driving their move? And did they tell you a specific story? What are they worried about? What are their concerns? What are their objections to the actual move? Have they been in their home for 30 years? Did they only buy their house a year ago and they're worried they're not even going to break even? Paint the picture of the current situation. Then you want to break down the after. What were the results that you got them? We're going to start with numbers, ad impressions, number of showings, days on the market, number of offers. Is it a neighborhood or a building record? Okay, so this is the quantitative results. So we want to get super clear on the numbers. Then we want to get super clear on the important stuff, which is, hate to tell you, not the numbers. The really important stuff is what did they get out of it? What does their life look like now? What are the emotional reasons that this was a win for them? Is it a new school? Are they in a new home? Do they have more space for family? Do they have an income property now? Paint the after picture. Okay, so again, we've touched on before, we've touched on after. Just going to check the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. I know Ashley's got it, but now then you want to break down the process. Highlight the steps in your signature system. If you don't have a signature system, that's your starting point. Okay, so step by step, 3 to 5 steps. What did you do? Why? How were these results achieved? What did you do that others don't do? You want to highlight your unique value proposition. This isn't, I did 500 things in order to get them their result. This isn't, I spent my entire commission check on staging their home. These are the 3 to 5 really important things that we did. And you highlight them and you break down why you were able to do this in a way that was that worked so well. This isn't a look at me, look at me. This is our systematic approach to making sure that this happens on a consistent basis. These are the steps that we took and why this was important. So again, the next step after you've done the point form, before, after process, then you want to tell the story. So again, stories are 22 times more memorable than facts, which is why this part of it becomes a practice. So this is the story, and you can move these around, okay? This is your basic template, but you can move these around and put them in different orders. And I'm going to show you some examples of that too. Where were they and what was driving their move? And I know that this feels repetitive, but I really want to get this I want you to really leave with I fully understand how to do this on a consistent basis. Then where are they now? This is not just a location. Where are they now? This is paint the picture of their current situation and why it's so much better than their previous situation. Okay. Then we want to walk through the process of how. And then we want to celebrate the client. How amazing is this? Imagine if they hadn't done this. I'm so happy that we were able to do this, because, sometimes you can even throw in there a little cost of inaction. I love talking about COI in all kinds of marketing, because, what happens if someone who is in the same situation just stays in that same situation and they don't move? Imagine if they decide that they're going to raise their 18 dogs in their 1-bedroom apartment with no backyard. What's actually going to happen to them? What is that? Is that good for the dogs? Is it good for their mental health? Like, whatever the situation is, you have the opportunity, and you don't have to do this in every single one, but you have the opportunity to talk about cost of inaction. Do you guys have any questions about this so far? Okay, so let's talk about the addition of good case studies and what it can do for your business. So obviously, this is Heather. I use Heather a lot because I'm very involved in her marketing. In addition to all of the other psychological content, so all other 9 types of content that I listed at the beginning of this training, she also uses case studies on a regular basis. And case studies act as your call to action content. So instead of the look at me, I'm number one, call me for all of your real estate needs. And instead of that, what we're doing is we're doing a case study, and it's going to produce results. It's not going to be the content that gets the most engagement, right? So this is not going to get you the most, and I want to repeat that, this is not going to get you the most engagement out of all of your content, but this is for your lurkers, which are the people who have been watching and who are looking for that little push forward in order to get, I don't know, for you to post something that's going to give them what they need in order to reach out. And for a lot of people, it's the case study. They're going to read something, they're going to say, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. I need to talk to Karen. She's going to do this. She's the right person for me here. Okay. So Heather, if you don't know her, does, I don't know, 200 million in volume every year from social media. And she uses case studies everywhere. And hers are always a little set up a little differently, but this is her just sold post. And she does these, she peppers them in. She also uses case studies as her direct marketing. So there's no just sold postcards going anywhere. If she does a postcard, she does it with a case study because they're far more effective. So keep that in mind. As you master the process of doing this, it's going to become easier and easier for you. And the results that come from this, pretty much every single time she posts a case study, she picks up a client or two. So the people who have been nurtured and who are in her audience and who, you know, this is how they're taking action. So she posts a case study, she'll get 1 or 2 new clients from it pretty much every time. So they are really, really effective. And again, play with the structure. These are the 4 things that you want to have in the case study. But obviously you want the headline to be first, but for the rest of it, play around with the order. You know, you may want to start with the numbers, the results, the after numbers. You know, you may want to say, like, here's the story of 123 ABC Street. You know, we had 10,000 ad impressions. We had 15 showings. We had 5 offers, and we sold $70,000 over the last highest sale in the building. And this is how we did it. And this is what it looked like. And this was what was the before and after. You know, we love to post before and after carousels with staging. Why wouldn't you do the same thing when it comes to your case studies, right? They are compelling no matter what. So once you start doing this, you want to practice and you want to iterate. So if you have never done a case study before, then write a case study about yourself. Write a case study about something that's like a transition you've made in your life. Just practice it. Where were you before? Where were you after? And make sure you do your point forms first. Where were you before? Where were you after? What was the process that you took to get there? Write a case study about your first client. Write a case study about your last client. Then start doing them, once a week. And you can go back, yes, the tendency is to do a case study from something that was just closed or, just finished, but you can go back and you can write a case study for pretty much every client you've ever worked with. And you don't have to use their pictures and you don't have to use their last names. You get to have fun with it. I had someone the other day, and I told this story on our 7-figure agent call this morning. There's someone who's in our listings lab program, and she messaged me and she's like, I've been in this program for, 2 years or a year and a half, and I'm not at 7 figures yet. And I said, okay, so tell me, where were you before? And she's like, well, I was doing 100,000. And I said, and she's like, and I'm on track to do 500,000 this year. And the first thing that came to my head was a headline for a case study. And it was, she's only 400 times her business in a year and a half, right? All of it gets to come together, and the headline gets to be catchy. And if you have a good headline, so you want to highlight something that is going to hit a pain point. So headlines are also a whole other thing that you get to practice, but I want you to work on the structure of how you can write the case studies. And then you get to go back and work on the headlines and make it even more compelling. So again, when someone is struggling to convert from social media, the first question I always ask is, are you being consistent with your case studies? When's the last time you posted a case study? Because even people who are in our programs and who are using the 9 other types of content on a regular basis, sometimes all they need, and if you've been to some of my other trainings before, you know that right now you have 10 to 15 clients sitting in your warm social media network right now. They're just waiting. And it's really, really important that you remember that your consistency with this type of post is going to make a huge difference, especially if you're consistent. Yeah, so Lisa, I don't know if you saw a couple slides ago. I had said, where did I put it? I think I said once a week. Let me go back here. Then start doing 1 per week. Okay, so you want to try to be as consistent as you can and try once a week. And you can do these written. Chances are in the beginning, you're going to want to do them written because you're going to want to map out and get used to the structure. But over time, you can start doing them in video too. You can, but no matter what, even in the video, the structure is the same. You still need a headline, a before and after, and a process. That's really, really important. So even in a video, sometimes you can do it as an interview, right? If you guys are, I think you're all in my Facebook group. I do a lot of my case studies as interviews. And that's okay too. You get to play around with the format, but I just really wanted you guys to understand that these are the things that make a good case study and the power of actually doing them more consistently. So start doing them written, start playing around with writing case studies, because either way, you have to hit the same points, whether it's written, whether it's video, whether it's an interview. So the background work to be ready to create your first client-centric case study, right? Again, if you want it to convert, the other content types are going to do the nurturing for you. So it can't just be that you post pictures of kitchens all the time and then you drop a case study in there. It's probably not going to perform as well as you want it to. So all of these content types work together from that first initial slide that I showed you with those all listed. But you want to use them regularly and then pepper in some really, really great case studies. You have to have your signature system mapped out. Okay, so your core services have to be clear so that you can reiterate, and the people who are following you and keep seeing your case studies will start to recognize what your process looks like and therefore start to understand why it works so well. You also have to, before you do any of this, have a niche chosen, and you have to be targeting that niche with all of your content, whether it's upsizers, downsizers, first-time buyers. If you don't have a niche chosen and you're here right now, please send me an email and I'll send you a niche training. It's going to be incredibly important for you to have a targeted niche. You can email, I'm just going to type my email address here. It's just jess@thelistingslab.com. Send me an email. I'll get you a niche training, because you're not going to be able to do any of this if you haven't narrowed down your target demographic. So now you have a choice, just like anything else. You can take what you've learned and put it into practice. You can go for it and take action and test a couple things and reiterate it, or you can get our help. Now, I know that there's not 300 people here right now, but there's 300 people who are going to get the recording of this, because I promised that they would get it. You guys are going to get the slides. They're not going to get the slides. But because there are 300 people registered for this training, we have to make sure that we're only talking to people that legitimately want the help. So we always start with a 15-minute qualifying call, and then we can move you onto a strategy call if we think that we're a good fit. We'll talk to 30 to 45 minutes about where you are in your business now, what your current business model looks like, and how you can use more social media, more content, and things like case studies to hit your goals. And we'll give you the next best steps. One way or another, you will leave that call with your next best steps. This isn't for everyone, obviously. We want to work with people who are coachable and who will show up on social media. Guys, I know that not all of you love it. And you come to my trainings and you think, yeah, this all makes sense, and I wish that I could do this, but I won't put a picture of myself online. And that makes it really hard, because social media is so powerful, but people need to, again, buy emotionally first. And so you have to be willing to put yourself out there on social media. Yeah, so again, just, you know, coachable and someone who's, you're really goal oriented. You're ready to go. You want to hit those goals. So if you are interested, you can book a call. This is where you book it. Yeah, I'm going to show you in a second. I'm going to give you a couple examples. The purpose of this call is not to solve 100% of your business challenges. We are not magical wizards. We can't build your signature system on a 30-minute call either, right? We really just want to see, we want to see if we can help you on a further level. So complete the form, save your spot, make sure you have the time blocked off, and show up. So that is, that's going to be the main thing that I wanted to talk about. Now, some examples. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what a great case study can look like. And they all are going to look a little different. So let me see here. I'm actually just going to pull up a couple of people's pages, and I'm just going to pull them out because I think that this is really, really important. So here's an example, screen share. Here's an example of 84 Rush Home Road. So there's no client name in this. Sold in less than a week, over 30 showings, over 250,000 ad views, sold for $360,000 over list. The story of 84 Rush Home. Okay, so this is her process. These are the results. Super simple. This is a very simplified one, but it's straight to the point, before, after, process. Every single time she posts one of these, she gets something that comes out of it. And I think that I have an example actually of another one that I wanted to show you that was a little bit more, let me just pull this up. Give me 1 second. And in the meantime, do you have questions other than wanting to see examples? make sure that you're dropping them in the chat and I can kind of go through and answer them for you as well. So I have, let's see here. Okay, so just examples. Okay, so Stephanie Finch has a really good one as well that I wanted to highlight. It basically starts with, let me find it. I had it like open in front of me right before we started this, and then I had too many tabs open and I shouldn't have, and here we are. So let's see, 3 steps, delegation training. And if you guys have seen my 3 steps to getting consistent clients on social media training, then you've seen this one before too. But let me just, I'm literally just going to pull up that one section and show you exactly where it is. So let's see here. It is norm, personal, social proof. There we go. So here, I'm literally pulling up a YouTube video from my own channel. So here you go. A lot of my clients are in a similar situation as Jim and Laura. They needed more space after their first son. See, she's painting the picture. They'd been looking for the right house at the right price with room in their budget to make their own improvements. See how she's giving a lot of detail? This is the perfect way to start a case study. We help them get the most out of their money while moving from their starter home to a 4-bedroom home with a yard. And then basically what this video does is walks through her process. This is a perfect way of doing this because it's a combination. It's a really good combination both between written and video. So there's people who are going to read this beginning piece before they even start watching the video and say, yeah, that's like me. And chances are they're going to go and they're going to watch the video because why wouldn't you if you're in exactly that same situation? Right? So again, you want to play with your case studies. There's no hard and fast rule that it has to look exactly like Stephanie's or exactly like Heather's. You're going to play around with them and you're going to find what works best for you, that you like creating the best and also that actually gets you the most response. But again, I'm going to be a broken record. If you're not actually using really good psychologically driven content, your case studies are not going to perform as well. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it's on one of my YouTube channels. Yeah. So and a lot of this stuff, like we break down in a lot of different trainings. So you can find my YouTube channel if you want, and you can definitely. And if you have questions or you want other trainings that are going to give you this direction, a lot of them are promoted in the Facebook group, but you can send me an email. And if I have a training chance, you know how we used to hear all the time that like cliche of there's an app for that. Well, chances are I've got a training for that. Right. So just, ask me for what you need. I'll send you what I have. This is a process though. And basically what we're trying to do and what I'm slowly trying to kind of get through is thinking and becoming more of a digital marketer. Thinking like a marketer, but not your typical, like, look at me, I'm number one, because that stuff doesn't work anymore. What really does work is understanding your clients on a deeper level, really putting thought into what they need to see from you in order to choose you and become an inbound client. This is how we eliminate the chasing in our businesses. Right? I do have trainings on the other 9 content types. I definitely do. Yeah, so Martina, remember the training you did for Justin Loncarrick on how to deal with the overwhelm of today's world? Okay, yeah, if that was off the cuff, but I can totally do that again. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I really think that it's important that we remember that, I can talk to you for 45 minutes to an hour, but I can't ever give you the full package in one training. I would love to be able to, but the full package would take a week, and maybe someday I'll do like a a week where like an intensive week where we just go through start to finish each individual piece of this. But, you know, I think it's super important that you're thinking about things from that marketing perspective. So if you do decide, not all of, not all of the trainings are on my YouTube channel. Some of them are. We're actually in the process. I'm in the process of recording more because I haven't been paying a lot of attention to my YouTube because my Facebook converts so well and works so well. But we are doing a little bit more work on the YouTube channel now. You'll see there's a new banner on there. So if you want to find me on YouTube, it's just Jess Lenouvel. Ashley, if you have the link, could you drop it? So you can find, and we will be dropping more trainings on there as well. But yeah, if you want to talk about your specific business and about, you know, using social media and using digital marketing to kind of explode that business to the next level, feel free to book a chat with us. It's just thelistingsLab.com/apply. And all of our programs are on our website too. Like if you want to just kind of like lurk, as we all like to, it's just thelistingsLab.com. There's pretty much everything that you can possibly imagine. You can learn all about the story, all about my story, all about our programs, all about the whole shebang. It's all there. So if you guys have other questions too that you think about after, send me an email. I'm happy to answer other questions. I just wanted to make sure that you really had an opportunity to ask questions and get as much out of this as you can. Again, headline, before, after, process, right? So those are going to be like the number one things that I wanted you to take away from this. And yeah, you guys will get the recording. So good? Happy? All right, cool. Again, talk to you guys soon. If you need anything, you let me know. I'm here. Thanks, guys.